kind of place you see in apartment listing photos and think, this is it. This is where my new life starts. Her neighbor across the hall was a man named Marcus. Mid-40s, quiet, worked from home doing something with computers. The first time they met, he was overly friendly. Held the door too long, smiled too wide, but Sarah dismissed it. She was new to the city. Maybe everyone here was just friendly. Week 2, Marcus mentioned he noticed she got home around 6:15 most nights. Sarah laughed it off. Yeah, traffic's pretty consistent. Week 3, he asked if she was still drinking that vanilla oat milk latte every morning. Sarah froze. How did you? Oh, I see you at the coffee shop sometimes, Marcus said casually. Same order every time, right? But Sarah didn't go to a coffee shop. She made coffee at home, and her trash went down the chute in the hallway. The one right across from Marcus's door. That's when the small things started making sense. Her packages would be inside the building lobby instead of left at her door. But the delivery notification said, handed to resident. Her spare key she kept under the doormat was in a slightly different position. She thought she was being paranoid. Then came the comment that changed everything. Sarah was leaving for work one morning when Marcus stepped out of his apartment. He glanced at her outfit, a navy blue dress she'd bought the week before and hadn't worn yet, and said, "That's a nice dress. The blue really suits you." Sarah forced a smile and left. But that night, she couldn't shake it. She tore her apartment apart looking for cameras. Nothing. She checked every corner, every smoke detector, every vent. Clean. 2 days later, Sarah came home to find her door unlocked. Not open, just unlocked. She knew. She knew. She had locked it that morning. She always double-checked. Always. Inside, everything looked normal. Nothing missing. Nothing moved. But there was a smell. Cologne. The same cologne Marcus wore. Sarah called the police. They came, looked around, found nothing. Maybe you forgot to lock it, the officer suggested. It happens. But Sarah knew. She started documenting everything. Took photos of how she left things. Put pieces of clear tape on her door to see if anyone opened it while she was gone. The tape was broken 3 times in 1 week. Then she installed a hidden camera in her bookshelf, aimed at the front door. Marcus entering her apartment at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. He had a key. He walked in like he owned the place, looked around, picked up a framed photo of Sarah and her family, stared at it for almost a full minute, then put it back. But he didn't leave. He went into her bedroom. Sarah watched the timestamp tick by. 3:02 p.m., 3:15 p.m., 3:28 p.m. Almost 45 minutes he was in there. When he finally came out, he was holding something. Sarah had to rewind the footage 3 times to see what it was. Her journal. He'd been reading her private journal. But it got worse. Sarah checked her bedroom and found a small camera hidden in the air vent above her bed. It was wireless, battery-powered, and had been there for weeks, maybe months. The police arrested Marcus that same day. When they searched his apartment, they found hundreds of photos of Sarah. Sleeping, getting dressed, eating breakfast, showering. He had photos of her doing things she didn't even remember doing. The detective told Sarah that Marcus had been accessing her apartment for nearly 4 months. He had copied her key during the first week she moved in when he offered to help her carry groceries. She'd handed him her keys to unlock her door while she grabbed more bags from her car. 30 seconds. That's all it took for him to make a copy. During the trial, Marcus's lawyer tried to paint him as lonely and harmless. But the prosecution presented evidence that Marcus had done this before, to 3 other women in 3 other buildings. He would move in, target a single woman who lived alone, gain access, and slowly build this catalog of surveillance. He wasn't dangerous, the lawyer claimed. He never touched anyone. But Sarah still can't sleep in complete darkness. She still checks her vents. She still puts tape on her door. Because Marcus never had to touch her to destroy her sense of safety. He just had to watch. Marcus Klein was sentenced to 6 years in prison for stalking, breaking and entering, and illegal surveillance. He was released in 2024 after serving 4 years. Sarah moved out of Boston entirely. When Alex Morrison posted a roommate wanted ad in Portland, Oregon, in early 2020, he wasn't expecting much. Just someone to split rent, someone quiet, someone clean. Basic stuff. Trevor responded within an hour. 26 years old, graphic designer, worked remotely. Seemed normal. Great references. First month's rent in cash. Perfect. The first month was fine. Trevor kept to himself, stayed in his room most of the time, cleaned up after himself. Model roommate. But then Alex started noticing things. Small things. His toothbrush would be in a different position in the holder. Not dramatically different, just rotated slightly. His shampoo bottle faced a different direction in the shower. His coffee mug wasn't where he left it on the drying rack. Alex thought he was losing his mind. Maybe he just wasn't paying attention. Maybe his memory was off. Then he noticed the timestamps. Alex had a habit of journaling digitally. He'd save files with dates in the file name. One day, he went to open a journal entry from 2 weeks ago and saw the file had been modified. Yesterday. He hadn't opened it yesterday. He checked other files. Same thing. Someone had been accessing his laptop while he was at work. But the laptop was password protected. How? Alex installed monitoring software that would log every time his laptop was accessed. The next day, while he was at his office, the log showed his laptop had been turned on at 11:43 a.m. and used for 2 hours and 17 minutes. Trevor was home. Alone. Alex confronted him that night. "Have you been using my laptop?" Trevor looked genuinely confused. "What? No, man. Why would I do that? The logs show someone accessed it while I was at work. Must be a glitch," Trevor said, shrugging. "I've been in my room all day working." But Alex knew. He knew. He started locking his bedroom door when he left for work. But somehow, things still moved. His closet door would be open when he was certain he'd closed it. His dresser drawer wasn't quite shut all the way. Alex set up a hidden camera in his room. The footage was worse than he imagined. Trevor would pick the lock on Alex's bedroom door around noon every day. He'd spend hours inside, not stealing anything, not breaking anything, just observing. He'd sit at Alex's desk and read through his journals, both physical and digital. He'd open drawers and look at old photos. He'd lie on Alex's bed and just stare at the ceiling. But the most disturbing part was the notebook. In the footage, Trevor would pull out a small black notebook from his pocket and write, constantly writing, taking notes like he was documenting a science experiment. Alex waited until Trevor left the apartment one day, then broke into Trevor's room. What he found made him physically sick. The notebook was there, sitting on Trevor's desk. Inside were hundreds of pages of observations about Alex. Subject wakes up at 6:47 a.m. on weekdays, 9:15 a.m. on weekends. Prefers hot showers, approximately 14 minutes long. Chews on left side of mouth when eating. Possible TMJ issue. Restless sleeper. Moves positions average of 11 times per night based on bed assessment. Coffee consumption, 3 cups daily. Anxiety levels increase after cup 2. Trevor had been studying Alex like a lab rat, but it got darker. Toward the back of the notebook were sketches. Detailed drawings of Alex sleeping, eating, working at his desk. Some of the sketches were dated from weeks before Trevor even moved in. Trevor had been watching Alex before they ever met. The roommate ad wasn't random. Trevor had targeted Alex specifically. When Alex confronted Trevor with the notebook, Trevor didn't deny it. He smiled. "I'm writing a book," Trevor said calmly, "about human behavior. You're the perfect subject." "Subject? Are you insane? You're predictable, Alex. You follow patterns. I've been documenting those patterns. It's fascinating, really. You don't even realize how mechanical you are." Alex told him to get out. Immediately, Trevor refused. "I have a lease. I have rights." Alex called the police, but legally, there wasn't much they could do. Trevor hadn't stolen anything. He hadn't physically harmed Alex. The lockpicking was a gray area, but since they were both on the lease, Trevor's lawyer argued he had implied access to common areas and a misunderstanding about bedroom privacy. It took Alex 3 months to legally evict Trevor. During those 3 months, Trevor continued his research. He'd smile at Alex over breakfast. He'd make small comments about Alex's habits. "You seemed restless last night. Bad dreams." Alex lost 15 pounds, stopped sleeping, started staying at friends' places just to escape. When Trevor finally moved out, Alex found more notebooks hidden in Trevor's room. 7 in total. Thousands of pages of documentation about Alex's life. The last entry, dated the day Trevor left. Read. Experiment complete. Subject successfully conditioned to fear observation. Control established. Moving to next phase. Alex never found out what next phase meant. He moved out of that apartment 2 weeks later and hasn't used social media since. Because somewhere out there, Trevor is still researching. And Alex might not have been his only subject. Emma Wright was 28 when she met Daniel at a gallery opening in Brooklyn. He was charming, artistic, well-dressed. He introduced himself as a freelance photographer, showed her some of his work on his phone. Portraits, mostly. Black and white. Intimate. Beautiful. They exchanged numbers. For the first few weeks, Daniel was perfect. Thoughtful texts. Interesting conversations about art and life. He'd recommend books she ended up loving. Suggest restaurants that became her favorites. "It's like he gets me," Emma told her best friend, Rachel. Rachel wasn't so sure. "Doesn't it feel weird that he's so accurate? Like, suspiciously accurate?" Emma laughed it off. Their first date was at a small Italian place in the West Village. Daniel ordered for her before she could even look at the menu. "Trust me," he said. "You'll love it." And she did. It was exactly what she would have ordered. On their third date, Daniel brought her flowers. White peonies. "How did you know these are my favorite?" Emma asked. Daniel smiled. "Lucky guess. But they weren't just her favorite. They were her mother's favorite too." Emma had a tattoo of a peony on her wrist in memory of her mom, who'd passed away 5 years earlier. Daniel couldn't have known that from just looking at her. The tattoo was small, subtle. Emma started paying closer attention. Daniel knew she was allergic to shellfish. He knew she'd studied abroad in Florence. He knew her coffee order at the cafe near her apartment, a place he'd never been to with her. When Emma asked him how he knew so much about her, Daniel would just say, "I'm observant. I pay attention." But it was more than that. One night, Emma came home to find her apartment door slightly ajar. Not broken, just not fully closed, like someone had left in a hurry. Nothing was missing, but her laptop was open. She always closed it. Emma checked her browser history. Someone had accessed her Facebook, her Instagram, her emails. But not recently. The timestamps showed weeks earlier, before she'd even met Daniel. She checked her Instagram followers. Daniel had been following her for 8 months. 8 months before they randomly met at that gallery. Emma's hands shook as she scrolled through her old posts. Photos from her trip to Florence. A post about her peony tattoo. A story about getting coffee at her favorite cafe. A tagged photo at that exact Italian restaurant Daniel had taken her to. He hadn't guessed anything. He'd studied her. Emma confronted Daniel over text. He called her immediately. "Emma, I can explain. You've been stalking me." No, it's not like that. I saw you at a coffee shop months ago and I wanted to know more about you before I approached you. I was nervous. I didn't want to mess it up. You broke into my apartment." Silence. "Daniel, I just needed to see where you lived. I needed to understand you, to make sure we were compatible." Emma hung up and blocked his number. But Daniel didn't stop. Over the next week, Emma received packages at her apartment. Photos, hundreds of photos, of her, walking to work, sitting in the park, having lunch with Rachel, grocery shopping, photos taken over months, long before they'd ever spoken. The final package contained a photo album, professional quality prints, bound in leather. The title page read, "Emma, a study." Inside were photos of Emma doing the most mundane things, brushing her hair, reading on her couch, sleeping. Photos taken through her apartment window. Emma called the police. They arrested Daniel for stalking and trespassing. During the search of his apartment, they found hard drives containing thousands of photos. Not just of Emma, 12 other women, all photographed without their knowledge, all studied, all stalked. Daniel's art wasn't photography. It was obsession. The detective told Emma that Daniel had a system. He'd find a woman, study her online, learn everything about her, manufacture a chance meeting, then build a relationship based on information he'd stolen. "He made you feel understood," the detective said, "because he already knew everything about you before you even met." 3 of the other women agreed to testify. Daniel was sentenced to 8 years for stalking, breaking and entering, and harassment. But here's the part that still haunts Emma. During the trial, Daniel's lawyer presented evidence that Daniel had been doing this since high school. 16 years of photographing women without their consent. 16 years of building fake relationships based on surveillance. And in all that time, none of his previous victims had ever reported him. Because he was so good at making them feel special, so good at making them feel understood, that they never questioned how he knew so much. They just thought he was perfect. Emma still checks her windows every night. She covers her laptop camera with tape. She's careful about what she posts online. Because Daniel taught her something terrifying. The person who knows you best might be someone you've never even met. Sometimes the most dangerous people don't break in. They wait until you let them in. If this made you uncomfortable, good. Stay alert. And subscribe for more true stories that'll make you sleep with the lights on.